there, my name is Beck, and the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. And I think I have to, at this point, freely admit, I am completely obsessed with this new adaptation of Strange New World. I absolutely adore it. No, I don't just adore it. Listen, I might be getting overexcited. Like, that happens, okay? That does happen. But right now, it looks to me like this series could be like as good as The Prisoner, you know, like that type of good, like classic telefantasy good. Like, you know, which is, I think it's going to be something that's like little known, and those who know about it will be very happy they know. Or again, I might be crazy, but again, I'm in my second watch of the show. And I don't think I've ever been this besotted with Nick before. So fine, so we're going to be reviewing episodes, was it 4 and 5? It's called Swallow and Firefall. I think Firefall's probably the weakest of the series, and still, it's a pretty darn good episode. But yeah, we're going to be doing that. Before we get there, though, can I ask you guys, can you hit that subscribe button? That'll be fan-dabby-double-dozy. Thank you very much. You hit the subscribe button, everybody happy now. You know, that's all I can say. If you hit the subscribe button, yeah, you get a few things that happen. Firstly, you make a rabbi very, very happy. Now, you know, that may not seem a big deal to you, but how often do you get a chance to make a rabbi very, very happy in such an easy way, just one click away? Secondly, you get to enter my regular competition. Now, you say weekly competitions, but this prize I've been running for a few weeks because I really like it. So I'll keep. This is going till August 2nd, so not much. It's about a week to go, just over a week to go. The prizes, of course. Maybe I should tell you the prize. Prizes, of course, the Indiana Jones, the Adventure of the Indiana Jones box set. They don't say the complete Adventures of Indiana Jones box set because this was made before the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, so that's not on it. Neither are the Indiana Jones Adventures, Young Indiana Jones Adventures, which, honestly, no loss. I don't think I actually saw all of those, but the ones I saw, reasonably long and dull, reasonably. But no, what you do get is Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, and Last Crusade, and they're all freaking fantastic, as you know. Plus, an incredible bonus disc telling you everything you possibly want to know about Indiana Jones. And they're great documentaries on it. So all you need to do to win it is subscribe to the channel, and in the comments leave the hashtag Dr. Jones. Also go check out the video. You don't even need to subscribe for this. This is just me being grateful that you showed up. Go to the video notes, and you will find an audio story to download. Not sure what it's going to be. It's probably something from Big Finish that's out of print now that you can't buy anymore, and it's out of license. Just go download and listen to it, enjoy. I would say if you do download, listen, enjoy it. If Big Finish ever gets that license back again, then go ahead and buy yourself a digital copy. It's going to be like $2.99. Totally worth it. But they're not giving that license back in. Fine. Let's talk about Brave New World. So, just a brief recap. I think episodes 1, 2, and 3 pretty much introduced the world and got us, introduced the characters, and got us to, started the story. So we're in this, we're in New London, where everybody's happy now. There is the 3 rules they have in New London. New London is a wonderful place. By the looks of it, it's a place of pure bliss and pure bliss and comfort, where there's no crime, there's no hunger, there's no strife, there's no stress. But there are 3 rules. There are 3 rules they have that maintain this bliss-like state. There is no privacy. Everybody's linked together by a social media that constantly watches what you're doing and allows everybody else to watch what you're doing. There's no family. There's no bond. In general, there's no bonds. There's no connection between it. There's no family and there's no monogamy. Because if you start adding those 3 things in, everything gets destabilized, and the entire population is essentially kept docile by use of a drug called soma, which sounds freaking awesome. I wouldn't mind trying a soma, and lots and lots of sex, lots and lots of looks like very very hot but pretty empty sex. So that's essentially the world they're in, and we have two characters. We have Bernard. What's his last name? Bernard. I'm just gonna say Bernard. Bernard, who is an Alpha Plus, and the Alpha Plus's job is to. They seem like they are the rulers. They are certainly on top of this society. Whether the rulers or not, now I finish the season. I don't think they are. I don't think anybody's the rulers. So yeah, the Alpha Pluses, they're in charge of monitoring all the other levels. You have alpha, betas, gammas, deltas, epsilon, and whatever you are born into, and everybody born there is not born naturally, but they're born through I'd say in vitro fertilization. But don't you need a womb for that? They're born via test tube babies, right? So everybody's born artificially, and their role in life is predetermined by whatever level. Well, so the alpha pluses are on top, and they're in charge of administering the all the other levels, making sure essentially that they take their soma and they don't buck any social trends. So the laws of New London are maintained by essentially fear of being different, fear of being out of being different, and like social pressure. Everything is maintained by intense social pressure. So that Burnham, and there's Lena Crown, played by Jessica Finley Brown, or Brown Finley. One of the two. She was in Downton Abbey. She was the youngest daughter in Downton Abbey for the first 3 seasons, and she is stunningly gorgeous. I mean, just stunning. Yeah, I found out when I do these reviews, I like go through the episode again. I like, because I watch them and then I like go through them on, like, use not fast forward, but like pick out moments from it, so I understand each scene, what's going on. And it's so hard doing scenes because she's so just so incredibly beautiful, just breathtakingly beautiful. And I was thinking, well, she's probably just very the photoshopped or whatever you do on film, to idealize her. Then I saw her on a Twitter video talking about the series, from her living room, and she's still freaking gorgeous. I mean, she's one of the most beautiful people I've ever seen. So I'm just like transfixed, whatever I say. Very hard to critically analyze it. So the issue is that she was having a pretty much a monogamous relationship with another Alpha Plus, which Bernard then nips in the bud, and he said that was go ahead and do go back to your life and go. Basically every night they go to massive orgies. That's what they do. They go to massive orgies, and they'd like, go back to your life, do everything there, and you'll feel better. So at the end of the first episode, they're at one of these massive orgies, and he's really not into being touched. He wants a bit of privacy, which is all these things are verboten in New London. And she sees him there, and so she's pissed. She gets pissed off. She goes to his house and says, "Listen, I did everything you said, and I don't feel better." He is the authority, and they kind of bond over that, which is again something that New London is designed to not let them do. So then in episodes 2 and 3, they go on a vacation. Bernard seems to be somewhat out of sorts, so they send him on a vacation to the Savage Lands, people that aren't controlled by New London, the free people. And the way they depict them, I think, says everything about what this show is and what it's saying. The way they depict them is caricatured versions of how the elitists, let's call the elite, the Twitterati, the blue check marks, view people who voted for the current president. It's like vile caricatured versions of that, much like the naughty National Socialists from 1930s in Germany would caricature Jews. And so there's an element of truth within it, but you really see the mindset of the people that we're dealing with. So I feel this show is really very, very strongly coming out against the woke culture in this way, which I really do, and that's why I think it's such a deeply important show. Fine. So basically at the end of part 3, there's a mini revolution by the savages, the non New London people, the non dystopian people, and Bernard and Lenina barely make it out with their life with the help of a savage by the name of John, who turns out to be the son of a Delta Plus that got that used to be the I wouldn't say spouse, the pretty monogamous person that with the former warden of the Savage Lands. So they all escape back, and unfortunately, they're played by Demi Moore, no less. Linda, the mother, of this guy John, dies in transit on the way back, and that's really where we start. So the first episode, actually, over these next 2 episodes, we take a very strong look at what New London is. And something else I love about the show, they don't tell you anything. They let you work it out for yourself. And over these 2 episodes, you kind of start to understand how horrific New London is. It's not too hard to say the subsequent 2 episodes where we understand really what the truth of what's going on there. But yeah, again, so these 2 episodes are again a deep dive into the culture of New London as seen by John the Savage as he's brought into this world. So it starts off. John is the beginnings of grief for his mother, and it's like the people, the denizens of New London just can't comprehend at all. They can't comprehend at all, and very foolishly they think themselves superior for themselves not being able to comprehend it. They don't see how much they're lacking, how much humanity they're lacking because of that. So on top of John's grief, we have all this like massive culture shock. They travel in these like super elevators that go over, kind of like the elevator from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. That's basically what it is. So he nearly vomits in one of those. And for Bernard's part, both Bernard and Lenina have experienced this incredible ordeal. They've never experienced stress before in their lives. They never experienced not being in a situation where they don't know what to do. It's like I'm unfamiliar, and they both react to it in opposite ways. Bernard retreats within his belief system, his complete belief within of New London and New London culture. Whereas Lenina's been because he's terrified. Essentially, he's absolutely terrified by these thoughts of freedom that have come to him. Lena is a fundamentally stronger person, and she's been red pilled. She starts to see the reality, but the reality of everything. But something that makes this show just so extraordinarily good is the characters are very authentic to who they are and what they are. And these characters are artificial people. People were born artificially into an artificial culture. And very similar to was it Haley Joel Osment's performance in AI, where he played a robot and a robot with emotions, and he completely sold to me he's a robot with emotions. So Lenina's having this opposite reaction, and it's not that she like. In a Hollywood thing, she'll say, "No, tear down this obscenity." No, she. In these 2 episodes, you see her rebel in a very, very real human and very real and human way, in a way that I think is probably frightening for her. But again, she's a very strong character, and she's able to she needs to push forward with it. So. All this is brought into sharp focus with Lenina when she wakes up in her apartment after returning from the Savage Lands, and the first thing she sees is an ad for the new Savage Lands, telling her that this life-changing experience that she had, this completely life-changing experience she had, is disposable, is meaningless, is nothing, and she starts to understand, and she's already started to understand that everything in New London is disposable and thereby meaningless. And she stopped taking Soma to a great extent at this point, because she understands this is going to rob her of the critical reasoning that makes her be alive. And again, you're seeing this character over a couple of episodes becoming themselves, becoming human. which and again in a very I think a very authentic way. So there's a new mystery to distract Bernard as it emerges that John the Savage, his stats, his measurements are already in the system. So somebody's already entered him, which makes no sense. He was a complete savage. He's never been in New London. So the mystery grows. And then John, and it actually gets deeper. But John the Savage is in Bernard's care, right? And John just walks out, without permission. He slips away to go and explore for himself, because he's in culture shock, and he's in extreme grief. And he doesn't really know what he's doing. So this puts Bernard into a lot of trouble. The way he slips away is because Bernard has become played by Harry Lloyd. Just incredible performance by Harry Lloyd. Bernard has become like much more smug and arrogant. Again, it's a reaction to this life-changing experience here. So he's become much more smug, and he's bragging how he drove one of the Savages' autocar, which of course he didn't at all. So John's vanished into the city to explore, which gets Bernard's now in trouble. So there's a wonderful emotional immaturity in Bernard, and I think all the characters, in that they've never had to emotionally deal with anything before. They live a bliss-like existence. This is an existence without stress, without offense. I really just feel this is such a massive indictment onto Twitter culture, which so many people think is real. So Bernard's in trouble with that. He's lost John, but the director has never liked Bernard. Bernard was actually destined to be exiled to the Savage Lands as a warden, and the previous warden said, they told me a year. It says I've been here 7. So Bernard was already not on a good footing. And now we're bringing John back with him. The director, his boss, is apoplectic. And something that's really, I find fascinating, is how everybody is terrified of somebody above them. Again, this is how this system perpetuates and the system works. Bernard, who was instilled terror in Lenina in the first part, when he was scrutinized, himself is terrified when he's scrutinized by the director. So the real reason the director is apoplectic is, of course, that he was the warden of Savage Lands that fathered John the Savage, and essentially when the Beta Plus that he was with, Linda, got pregnant, there's such an incredible social stigma about becoming a parent, becoming a mother, becoming a father. He left her in the Savage Lands and just hightailed it back, and she was left to cope with life, without Soma, without the bliss, and she didn't cope too well. But and she always wanted to get back. So I don't know if it was obvious. It was supposed to be obvious to the audience at this point that the director, played by Ed Stoppard, who was pretty good in the audio version of Dan Dare, but Ed Stoppard, I think it was him playing it. He's that he's the father. Again, I don't know if it was supposed to be obvious to the audience. I kind of worked out. It wasn't obvious to Bernard though. Again, because Bernard just is such a believer of the system. He doesn't think this sort of thing can possibly happen. So later, though, Bernard does work it out. He goes to the director's office, all mad at the director for wanting to exile him and being generally mean to him. And he finds the director has gone offline. And he looks at the director's eyepiece, and it's virtually identical to John's one. And he works out that he is the father, of John the Savage. And it's kind of a mind-blowing moment for him. During this time, Lenina, like I said, been viewing New London completely differently. She sees children, a Beta Plus child being shocked if she lets go of her alpha, and she's starting to understand that how she's been conditioned throughout her entire life to feel the way she feels. And that doesn't negate that how she feels, but that she understands that she's been conditioned to feel that way. Again, really, really interesting thing to do. And she tries to talk to Bernard to it, and she's just like amazed that Bernard's having completely the opposite reaction, as in and is in denial and a retreat to the comfort of his belief system, even though he knows that belief system to be flawed. So another plot thread that develops is the way that Lenina deals with her desire for rebellion. Like at first, she tries to. Her job is to assign embryos the different levels: alpha, beta, gamma. And yeah, it's getting kind of obvious to me at this point that there is no need to have anybody do this. This is going to be done in an automated fashion. I think it's just being done to give the beta pluses a sense of of self-worth. It seems that the beta pluses exist, and it comes out over these two episodes, more so subsequently. But beta pluses exist to provide sex for the alphas, and it's not so because the alphas are the rulers of the city. Is to distract the alphas from understanding that they actually have no control either. Yeah, so it's a wonderful self-perpetuating system, which unfortunately Lenina's become self-aware in the middle of it. So she so her first rebellion fails. That the system won't let her designate an embryo. So then she goes back to Henry Foster, the person she was having a monogamous, purely sexual, purely empty sexual relationship from episode 1, and starts sleeping with him again, which is somewhat foreboding. So Henry Forrester, another Alpha Plus, is again with a wonderful piece of emotional immaturity, which is something I just love about these people with like real high life and death power have the emotional maturity of like 8-year-olds, because again this is their entire life experience. So he's using Bernard's falling out of favor with the director, and losing John the Savage to get a professional gain over him, professional advantage over him, and Bernard, wrapped up in his naivety, as I said, and emotional immaturity, is consumed with the knowledge that the director is really John's father. So he takes his concerns to Forrester, and Forrester takes so much pleasure in dismissing them without even listening to them. And again, neither of them have any idea that what's motivating them is jealousy over Lenina, which is they're both trying to get control of in one way or another. Again, it's all purely instinctual. So John, for his part, has been out in New London trying to discover it for himself, and he finds himself most at home with like the Epsilons, the lowest grade people, the drones, the workers, which is where the director finds him. The director has removed his IP so he can go and find John, because he's indeed John's father, which is going to be very, very bad for him. So he's desperate to get rid of John and cover up his guilty secret of fatherhood, and he's arranged for a rocket to take him back to the Badlands of the Savage Lands. And he doesn't know that John can't go back there because he's going to be killed by the insurgents. But he said you can go anywhere. He wants him anywhere else but New London, and John essentially works out that he's his father, and a scuffle ensues. I think where the director is trying to just throw him over the edge of this cliff, John accidentally pushes the director over, and so now he's terrified. He runs, and he finds himself in one of these nightly orgies. One of these feelies. We see it more in the next episode, Firefall. That the only form of artistic expression that very few people are allowed is to create these like emotional drama, these simple emotional dramas to have sex to, in these parties. So he finds himself in one of these orgies, and he's terrified. He's like all these naked bodies pushing him. He's terrified. He climbs up, but now Bernard at last can find him, because everyone's looking at him with their eyepiece, which connects them. So he goes there. He brings him back. calms him down. He sits with his mother, his mother's corpse, before she's cremated. And as they're leaving, after a truly terrible day when he's lost his mother and just had nothing but killed his father and has nothing but insane stress, he's offered a soma again, and this time he finally takes it. As he swallows, we see his eyes dilate. The music, by the way, I haven't spoken the music. It's absolutely perfect as the bliss comes over him, and this is how he's starts to become seduced into the new London society. And again, Swallow is the name of the episode, which I think is quite clever. In the next episode, Firefall, we see John again, becoming more and more part of the social body. But the episode starts off with we see some minor characters first who are going to be very, very important. We see C-Jack 60, the Epsilon from episode 1, who's very affected by another Epsilon, somebody who I think he had some kind of love sexual relationship with, killed himself. He's very affected by that. So and we see we see him now. His perception of reality grow, and it's quite. We see them. They're not great. You start to see the boundaries from which they live in, right? And they don't burst through them straight away. There's so much of this show isn't just perceiving the artificiality of their existence. It's just absolutely fantastic. Another character we spent a bit more time on, who's going to become more important, is Nina Sasania, playing Mustafa Mon, the ultimate leader of New London, and she starts to come into play. She knows there's some destabilizing thing happening. She thinks that this is the system, Inara, bringing a destabilization into to test it, to make itself better. And we discover a little bit more about the truth of New London, and I think we're going quite a bit away from the original Aldous Huxley book here. As the series goes on, we are going to talk about the origins of how this world came to be. And again, doesn't tell you clearly, but it gives you a reasonable indication of what could have happened. So Bernard's feeling pretty darn good about himself right now, because he's summoned to Mon's house, to Mustafa Mon's house, to discuss John's integration. He feels himself very elevated. Essentially, Mustafa Mon just wants to get John out of out into New London, integrating with people. Because sooner he becomes integrated, he becomes seduced in New London, the sooner this threat dissipates and is over. And also, you get a feeling from Mustafa Mon that she views everybody who lives in New London much in the same way as the savages view the people in New London as not being entirely real. Again, because nobody's born in a natural way. So Lenina, for her part, again, has been instinctively trying to perceive her boundaries and to rebel in a way that is permissible to rebel. Again, it's just such an authentic character moment. I absolutely love this show. How can I don't know how I can actually cavil about it anymore. I absolutely adore this show. And she's doing it, incrementally within her boundaries. So first, she's gone back to having a relationship with Henry Forrester, but now she's toying around with a bit of sexual dominance, which again, for a beta plus, is completely verboten, right? And it's something that Bernard just can't cope with at all. She's like, did you like it? It just feels wrong. He can't cope with it at all. So she goes to see John, who's refusing to leave the kindergarten of New London, and she sees her for a minute, and he sees her, and she's surprised at how overcome with emotion she is, right? And so she runs away, and she goes to take a soma and says, "No, I'm not taking a soma." Right, and so she's basically put herself into recovery at this point. So that progresses, and she reaches a point where she's just miserable. This sea of emotion that she's not used to just overcomes her, and she decides to no, I just got to double, triple, quadruple down into the New London, into the woke culture, and she pops soma after soma after soma, and she makes herself up. This is the point I actually kind of realized the function of the beaters, the real function of the beaters, is to be absolutely gorgeous and to be sex toys for the alphas, right? When she makes herself up to go out to the orgy that night, and she doesn't want to, and she just desperately wants everything to be back to normal. Again, fantastic performance. It's terrible. I always get a name right. I never remember her name. Is it Jessica Findlay Brown or Jessica Brown? But it's a fantastic performance. And again, it's so hard to evaluate her performance because she's so unbelievably gorgeous. Every time she walks on screen, I'm like, I mean, maybe it's just me, but she's so unbelievably gorgeous. It's it must be hard to be her in real life. Listen, look, I'm a troglodyte. I'm one of the normal. Like I would be one of the savages, but I'm finding it hard to relate to her as a human being. Through film, through a TV show, because she's too beautiful. You must get that in real life, right? Listen, if you are a particularly beautiful person, write in and let me know. Put your answer in the comments, because I am fascinated to find out. So where was that? So she's got herself all made up, and she's trying to do what a baby's supposed to do, which is connect to the social body, which is basically have sex with lots of people. They basically this episode ends up at a party created by Helm. This is another of the gender and race swap characters from the book, and I think it's actually a really, really good idea, because what has a particular resonance in 1931, 1932 has a totally different resonance in 2020. And so, I really think this actually feels closer to what Huxley, I think, wanted to say. So, when after John sees Lenina briefly looking at him, he decides, no, I want to get out. I want to get out. I think ultimately he wants to get to her, right? And one of the places that Bernard takes him is to see his friend Helm, who's this very limited artist, making these things called feelies. As I said, these like small emotional projections that go on, a very simplistic story that goes on during the orgies to, I think, just basically make you forget you're at an orgy every night. And while he's there, he does kind of blow the minds of everybody by pointing out that the absurdities and the artificiality of their world, which just completely intoxicates Helm. So the episode ends up at the party that Helm's created, and you have basically you have Bernard, John, Lenina, Henry Forrester, Helm, even C-Jack Six is all there. And this is where John finally becomes seduced to New London. He has sex with Helm, and then basically he ends up as part of in the orgy by the end. Interestingly enough, though, we get some interesting character moments from Bernard and Forrester. Forrester is now been promoted to Bernard's boss, and he takes incredible pleasure in humiliating him in public. And now the new destabilizing factor of John the Savage comes in, and it tells Bernard, you can't do that. He teaches Bernard how to punch Forrester in the eye, which nobody's ever done before in New London. And it gives Bernard this incredible social status and notoriety, which he's never had before, which just feeds into his ego, and I think takes him into pretty dark places, for the rest of the season. But Lenina is just craving human interaction, human touch, human interaction, intimacy. The thing that you should be getting through sex, which you don't get through sex in the Brave New World universe. And there's this really nice character moment with Lenina and Bernard as they go to a quiet part of the party and sit there quiet and just hold hands. They just hold hands quietly, having this like small intimate connection, which I think is probably much more powerful and real than any of the sex that she's ever had. So the episode ends with a rather cryptic look back at Mustafa Mon. She's playing some kind of board game with another woman who looks somewhat like her but younger. And the ball game, you get the impression, is really for the fate of New London, or maybe even the fate of mankind itself, so humankind itself. Whatever whatever's the right expression nowadays. So there we are. So that's episodes. Was it 4 and 5? Swallow, great title. I love Swallow. Firefall. Firefall, I think, is probably the weakest episode of the season of 9, but still absolutely compelling viewing. Absolutely, if that's the weakest, this is a pretty darn good show. So yeah, let me know what you think in the notes. The next review is going to be of it's episodes was it 7 and 8, which eight it was it no 7 6 and 7 and 8 are supposed to be a two-parter. I think they could have just called them different names. I don't think there was a need for it to be a two-parter. But there you go. Fantastic show. Absolutely fantastic show. Can't recommend it highly enough. So yeah, please, if you haven't checked it out. If you haven't checked it out, what are you watching this review for? No, go watch it first before you hit this incredibly spoiler-filled review. There you go. My name is Sheila Beckett, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.